All right, so the next series is Orlando versus Milwaukee. Me personally, it's a sweep. I mean, I know last year I said that the Magic would get swept, and I called DJ Augustine a terrible point guard and not good enough for the playoffs, and he went and dropped 25. But this year, I'm still saying it's going to be a sweep. The Bucks, yeah, they've been slacking, but they're the 1 seed. They don't need to play that hard. They really already locked it up. They're going to come back for the playoffs. They're not going to fall asleep, especially against this Magic team, which their best players like Vucevic, sure, Fultz is doing some okay stuff. Aaron Gordon's a little bit banged up. John Isaac, they don't even have anymore, who's probably their best defender and only hope at guarding Giannis. So I think Milwaukee in 4. If they get a game, sure, gentlemen sweep, why not? But definitely Milwaukee in 4 for me.
I have kind of similar. I'll give the Magic 1 game. I have the Bucks in 5 because I feel I don't know. I just don't see the Bucks they're such a good team, but I for some reason I just can't see them sweeping any team. I feel they always choke or something. They always mess up. It's you see it year after year. But yeah, I'll give it to gentlemen sweep.
Yeah, I gotta say 4-0 on this one, just because the Bucks are such a dominant team this year, and whatever's been happening in the bubble has been happening in the bubble. But there's nobody that can lock Giannis, and I'm sorry to the Magic. You got to respect every team in this league because on any given night, anybody could beat anybody. But the Magic are just looking really bad right now. I mean, their game against the Sixers, their field goal percentage was, terrible. They don't have any, real offensive creation. It's got to be a 4-0 for me, and I just think the Bucks are too dominant and the Magic are too bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, next one is extremely underrated once again. We got Miami versus Indiana, and I actually think that this is going to be an upset, but I do think that many people don't even realize that it will be an upset. But I got Miami in 6.
Yeah,
Bubble TJ Warren has been crazy. Yeah, we get it. Jimmy Buckets is going to lock him up. No one's going to stop Bam Adebayo. Miles Turner, sure. They don't even have Sabonis anymore. Victor Oladipo's still banged up. He's not playing at 100%. The Miami Heat just have 2 All-Stars. They just have better players. You got Duncan Robinson from the 3-point line, Tyler Hero. You got Kendrick Nunn, Goran Dragic off the bench. I mean, just so many weapons that I don't think that the Pacers really stand a chance. I give them 2 games just because I feel Miami might take some time to get used to it. Honestly, it should be. I'm changing it. We're going 5 games in this one. Miami in 5. Bubble TJ Warren, maybe he comes back to 1 game, but I don't really see Indiana winning much in this series.
I think the Heat's such an underrated team in general. I literally love their teams. I feel the team chemistry, you love to see it. They're just such a balanced team. They do make things happen. They get stuff done. So yeah, I have them in 6.
As you guys have been talking about this, I have been debating back and forth what I want to do in my head. Because on the one hand, everything you're saying about the Heat is correct. And they split the series 1-1 in this bubble. And I don't even think Butler was playing in at least one of those. So you would have to give the edge to the Heat, but at the same time, the Pacers, they're technically the higher seed. And for some odd reason, they just keep winning games. I keep thinking that they're gonna disappoint, and then they come out and win games somehow. So I'm gonna go Heat in 7 because I think this is gonna be an epic series. And I'm going to even make a further prediction that this is going to come down to a buzzer beater. I think there's going to be a one shot to end all for the Heat to put the Pacers out of it. I don't know if it'll be Jimmy Buckets, but
Classic.
I mean, there's something that this dude does in overtime. The Heat, I looked it up, are 7-1, I think, in overtime this year.
Yeah.
They just don't quit. They're just going to keep going at you. They're going to work hard. They're a tough team to put away. But Indiana's is a fighter too. So, yeah, I got to go Heat in 7. I think this is going to be a very hard-fought series, possibly the most exciting series in the whole thing.
Yeah, that's why I feel the Heat I'm giving the edge to the Heat because I feel it's mainly because Jimmy Butler, I feel he does something with his team that like it's just like a different energy. You know what I mean? Like
it's just a working man's mentality.
They play.
I thought it was great for Philly.
So much grittier. Like I just don't think the Pacers have that leadership.
If you're a fan of podcasts, I'll take this moment to interrupt. If you're a fan of podcasts, JJ Redick does a podcast, and he brought Jimmy Butler on there, and they talked about why Jimmy left Philly and like everything that's going on in Miami and like his whole attitude. Watch that podcast if you're a fan, because like it totally made sense to me why he left Philly, and I was mad at him for the longest time for doing it, but like if you just understand the type of person that he is, like you can get over it, and you can just realize why he went to Miami.
What's the rundown? I'll watch it later. But
what's the rundown?
Yeah, what do you mean? Rundown? Like why did Jimmy leave? Like was it just like the mentality, the atmosphere?
Yeah, it was basically because Brett had a lot of practices where, you know, they were watching film and not really accomplishing much, and he didn't feel like he had a role in the team. Like he kept asking to change the offense and no one heard him out. So he was just frustrated, and then, you know, decided he didn't want to stay. This was not the group of guys he wanted to be playing with. And then talks a lot about how this mentality of the Heat was different, how everybody worked and, you know, just grinded out wins. And I wish Philly had a bit of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because he is on the team. He was one of the older players. I can imagine like even if Joel Embiid's better, he doesn't have the experience. And imagine how frustrating it is if like people listen to like the younger guy that like doesn't have as much experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Brett never gave him a chance to speak his mind, really. So, you know, I'm a bit envious of that work ethic that he brings. But at the same time, like, I think we're better off without him. We just had too much tension there. So I think the Sixers are fine, and I'm glad he found a new home. And, like, yeah, just go check out that podcast. Like, that's all I recommend if you're a fan of podcasts. It's a good one.
Yeah, you know, for the longest time I was like, oh, we should have given him the max deal. Like, why would he want to leave us? We're such a great team. But, I mean, we saw it in Chicago where he wanted everyone to work. And you could see it kind of, like, not mesh well in Philly. There was a lot of news reports. And, you know, in Miami with, like, Pat Riley, with all the people there, I mean, he's been doing great. He actually led him to a higher seed as the number one dog. And he is, like, you know, he's doing great. So, you know, wish him the best. But hopefully, you know, Sixers can learn a little bit of that work ethic. All right, so the next series that we're talking about is the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Houston Rockets. This series, I think, is going to be really close now because Russell Westbrook is out with an injury. We don't know when he's going to come back specifically, but assuming he doesn't come back until the end, I actually have another upset. I have OKC winning in 7.
Wait, who do the Thunders have right now?
They got CP3, Dennis Schroeder, Shea, Danilo Gallinari. They got Steven Adams.
How are any of their firepowers compared to James Harden though? Like,
all right, name the second best player in the Houston Rockets.
They don't need to. James Harden literally puts up 40, and then everyone you named combines to put up 30, 40. James Harden puts up 40. Everyone else, like, they don't really need to. They need to put up role players like 8 points each. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, the way I see it is, like, they changed their team completely for Russell Westbrook. They got rid of Clint Capella because Westbrook couldn't shoot. They got rid of their system earlier with, like, you know, that 1-2 dynamic with Clint Capella and James Harden. And now they got drive and kick system with Russell Westbrook. But that's not going to work when you don't have the main piece. You don't have Russell Westbrook. That's not going to work. Steven Adams, I mean, PJ Tucker does a great job, but Steven Adams is probably going to get more rebounds. And, I mean, who's going to guard Danilo Gallinari? Because if you put PJ Tucker on him, then who's going to guard Steven Adams? So it's like the Thunder have a lot of underrated people, which they've been overlooked the entire season. And now without Westbrook, I mean, they got a good shot to get some revenge.
There's always that one team with the role players that pull through.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the advantage here to the Thunder is obvious, and that's the Achilles heel of the Rockets is that they are just a small team. And we watched this happen with the Sixers. Like, they just tore the centers and power forwards apart because they're just 6'7", 6'5" guys. So I like Steven Adams in this one. I think he could actually do a lot offensively for the OKC. But like Harden just has this ability to like get buckets. Like I don't know what it is, and I can't think of a guard on the Thunder that can lock him effectively. Like CP3 is not known for his defense. He's a smaller guy. Like I just don't think he's going to be able to lock Harden. So my prediction, I'm really back and forth on this one. I think the Rockets. In 6. Yeah.
6. Wow.
I would take the Rockets in 7. I don't know. I feel like Harden just pulls through.
I feel like in the past we have seen Harden shoot pretty terribly in the playoffs, though. Maybe that is due to fatigue, which now he presumably doesn't have. But
playoff Harden does show up. He does show up, playoff Harden, where he breaks 30 shots in a row.
I mean, like, you never know with him. And now there's no one to clean up the boards. I mean, you got shooters around. You got, like, House. You have Eric Gordon coming back who hasn't played yet. That's a little bit questionable, I feel, because they're starting off with Eric Gordon guarding CP3, which I feel CP3 is going to really abuse that matchup. In terms of their defense, they got Robert Covington. Is he going to be enough to guard the 3 guards, the triple-headed monster of Dennis Schroeder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and CP3? That's a question, but I think that without Westbrook, the Thunder definitely have enough firepower to pull through, and they've been playing pretty solid, I feel. Obviously, it's not going to be an easy matchup for them, but I think if they contain Harden, they've basically done their job.
Well, I don't think they can. They don't have anybody that can contain Harden.
I think Shai is going to play pretty well against Harden.
I think Shai is the best. Is going to be the best offensive player by far. He was such an underrated player before the season got canceled. I think he would have been in contention for most improved player. Honestly, I forget what he was.
I think Shai is their best bet to lock Harden, but I don't know what it is, man. Harden just goes out there and performs every freaking night. The guy, like, he's not going to score under 25 points in any of these games. So,
he's going to score more than 30 in all of them.
I think 25 at least for him in every game. So that alone is a pretty daunting opponent for the Thunder, and I just think that, like, there's something about the Rockets, man. Like, I just think that they're going to pull this one out. And I might regret saying that later because the Thunder do have some good depth. And, like, even Nerlens Noel. Like, who's going to guard him? Like, he's big, you know? Like, who on the Rockets is going to guard him?
I mean, that pick and roll action, Lob City a little bit. I mean, you don't really have any
dangerous. I might regret saying it, but somehow, I don't know how, but I think the Rockets are going to just, like, figure out how to work around the size thing and just, like, find a way to win this one. That's my prediction. It might be a dumb idea, but that's me.
As of right now, I think their backup center is Tyson Chandler, who has been good.
He's big, but
old. I mean, that's not going to work out, in my opinion.
He's kind of like kind of washed, so I don't know.
All right, we come to our final series of the first round, possibly the most hyped up one out of all of them. We have the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Portland Trail Blazers. I am a little bit surprised at the hype. I understand it, but I'm a little bit surprised by it. I mean, the Lakers, maybe they haven't been playing the best, but they were the 1 seed. They didn't need to. Like, playoff LeBron is going to come. Playoff LeBron is going to try his hardest to get a championship. Playoff Anthony Davis, yeah, we haven't seen him yet, but he hasn't really been on a good team, and he's going to come out. Danny Green, he was a great shooter in the NBA Finals with the San Antonio Spurs. He knows what playoff basketball was. He won 2 championships. So I think the Lakers are actually a little bit slept on with people saying that the Blazers are going to win. I think the Blazers are going to get a couple of games, but there's no one I can see who's going to lock up LeBron. You can't put Carmelo Anthony on LeBron. Like, as good as, like, as much as I love Melo, like, you can't put Carmelo Anthony on LeBron and call it a day. The Blazers are going to miss Trevor Ariza. They're going to miss having let go of Mo Harkless and Alfred Camino in the offseason when LeBron James comes in town and starts putting up easy triple doubles. Dame Dalla, maybe there's no one to guard him, but I mean, on the flip side, like, I feel Anthony Davis and LeBron is a better duo than Dame Dollar and CJ. And CJ's playing with a fractured back. We saw Dame Dollar get shaken up yesterday. Melo's probably tired Nurk with his grandmother, rest in peace. And Zach Collins got an injury. I think it was his ankle or something. Rodney Hood's still out. Trevor Ariza's not there. I mean, the Trailblazers are pretty banged up. I don't know. They're going to get a couple games. My prediction, Lakers in 6, definitely not Portland.
Playoff LeBron, definitely. He definitely isn't a playoff Harden. He always turns up. But I see the hype with the Trailblazers. Like what do you guys think Damian Lillard is going to average during the series? I say like maybe like 35 or something.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Something absurd, like 35. Like I believe in his shooting ability. I don't think, he's just like he's such an X factor. He's not even X factor. He's the guy. He's pretty much the only guy, but he's the guy.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Damian. I think he'll average in the low 30s. I think he'll do amazing this series. But the question you got to ask is, what have the Portland Trailblazers actually done? Like, let's think.
Yes.
They beat the Grizzlies, okay? The Grizzlies are, like, a terrible – they played horribly in the bubble. Like, the Grizzlies, beating the Grizzlies by 5 is not enough accreditation to then turn around and then go beat the Lakers, who are the number 1 seed. It's still a 1 versus an 8. Like, you can't overlook the fact that it's a 1 versus an 8. So, I think – Lakers in 6, and that might still even be a bit generous to the Trailblazers even to get 2. But I think Lakers in 6. They're just that dominant. Also, the Flyers just won 1-0 against the Canadiens. So
let's go.
Hey, is that the finals now or like the semis?
Sorry, for hockey?
Yeah.
That's the first round. They're up 2-1 on the Canadiens now.
Yeah, totally. I don't see how any way the Trailblazers can pull off a win. I think they're gonna win a couple games, might make it a little bit close, but yeah, probably either in 6 or in 5.
To your point about the Grizzlies, we saw the Blazers go against the Nets with their season on the line, and we saw Karis LeVert turn into Michael Jordan. I mean, like, come on now.
But then that's
actually got LeBron James.
That's what Damian Lillard does, though. He season on the line. That's when he plays his best. It's like absurd. That's literally when he plays his best.
I said we saw Karis LeVert turn to Michael Jordan. Their defense is atrocious. Their offense is great. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the bubble right now. They got Melo, instant spark off the bench. Although I do think he has a little bit to work on. I mean, the mid range, that little bit turnaround jab step pull up. It's a little bit outdated. I mean, I'm a huge Melo fan, but I mean, maybe he's got some nice catch and shoot threes. They got some nice offense, but in terms of defense, no one's guarding LeBron.
Defensively, I mean, they do not have a strong defense,
mm-hmm.
and they don't have Whiteside. Like, they don't have Whiteside, so I don't think the Trailblazers deserve as much hype as they're getting.
Agree.
But that's just.
I mean, everyone wants like the feel-good story, like the Blazers. Like, I mean, we saw them in the Western Conference Finals last year. We saw like they made it to the playoffs, I think 7 straight times, and plus they were banged up this year. They fought hard. They made it. Sure, they fought hard against pretty bad teams to make it, but they still made it nonetheless. Had some great games. Damian Lillard literally put the team on his back. Another thing that people aren't talking about is that this team is pretty tired from working all that hard. Like, they're probably not going to be as rested as the Lakers. LeBron's been planning for this series, and he's ready to go. But the Blazers are, like, scrambling. And in terms of rebounding, like, I was watching the Nets game. The Nets were getting, like, 5-6 offensive rebounds in one possession. Like, they got to fix that because you already know, like, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis, even LeBron, they're going to get their rebounds. For the Lakers, the only concerns I have is Danny Green, which I think he's going to show up, but he's my X factor this series. I mean, he starts knocking down 3-pointers, it's over. But if he keeps missing like he's been doing, I mean, maybe the Blazers will get a couple games, which I think is going to happen. But I mean,
this guy, Danny Green, I think he's a bit slept on. He's coming from the team that just won the whole thing last year. Like, he has that exposure. And think about how many other veterans are on the Lakers. Like, obviously LeBron, but then you got like Rondo, like Howard, the guys who have had this exposure. So I think that's overlooked too.
Yeah, definitely. And he played in San Antonio with Pop, and he showed up in that finals. I think it was 2013 or 2014, one of those.
It's crazy
And he
how
has experience.
it's crazy how Danny Green, he like exists in the playoffs. He's always around. Like
Mhm.
he always goes far. He's always around. He's always on the team.
Solid role player. Like if he were on the Sixers, that'd be awesome. Like he's the kind of guy shooting.
Yeah, I was really hoping we had signed Danny Green, honestly.
Yeah. Last offseason, me too.
I was thinking even maybe like Korver. I mean, like Danny Green even has the defense too. He's like a 3-and-D guy. That's his role, and like we need a 3-and-D guy.
3-and-D classic.
I mean, how badly would you want Covington or JJ or any of these guys like we could have or gave up or something like that? Like that extra bit of shooting would make us so much better. Like, I just wish we signed JJ or somebody,
JJ wanted to come back too. I still don't know the full story as to why he didn't come back. But in a report, he said he wanted to retire with Sixers. And then we kind of just overlooked him. We went after Horford, which ever since the beginning was just not a good fit. And then turned out to actually not be a good fit. The only way that can come to be a fruitful signing is if we beat Boston, because they don't have Horford. It's the only way the signing makes sense.
I literally think it's almost like the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb in the draft. It's like just plague your enemy as much as you can.
That's exactly
honestly
the only reason.
If there's one team I dislike in this NBA league, it's the Boston Celtics. So if there's one note I want to end it on tonight, it's beat the freaking Boston Celtics. I don't care what you have to do to do it.
Yes, please.
I'm tired of losing to them. I really am.
Like they win for no reason. Like they just win for no reason at all. We always have the better team on paper, but they just win for. It's so frustrating. It doesn't make any sense. But
they're always around.
We just since
the beginning of the NBA, they've always been around.
Definitely.
And it pains me to say it, but they're a good team. Like they're not going to be an easy team for us to beat right now. So all depends on how Embiid and the rest of them get it together.
That's going to be a tough one. I mean, you got the big three. Gordon Hayward, no one's even talking about. Man, that's going to be quite a series. We have the chance, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have the chance to win. That's all we need. We got that chance. We can pull it off.
We were 3-1 in the season series. Like, don't forget about that.
Yeah, but that was like a very different team. Basically.
It's an environment. It's a different environment. It's a different.
I don't think that's how I'm thinking. Like, I feel like the mental is gonna play such an important part during playoffs this year. Like, what if a player's like relatives? What if one of them has like cock run or something? Like, they're gonna be that's baggage. Or like, I'm not saying that's like it's horrible, but like I feel like it's gonna play a big part. Like, what if people are scared of that stuff?
Well, that's what happened to Nurkic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's tough. I mean, I respect them like crazy.
They may just pop off, but like, or that may just like weigh down on them. Like, who knows? It's just a toss of like how they're gonna, what are they gonna mindset going into the round.
I mean, think about these players on a human level for a second. Imagine the weight on your shoulders if a family member caught corona and you were in the bubble and you couldn't do anything about it. You just had to sit there and like you couldn't be there to be there for that person. Like, think about like as not as a basketball player, but as like a human being, how that would weigh on your shoulders. That'd be a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just like it's crazy. Like who knows? Like anybody could beat anybody, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the NBA's kind of leveled out a little bit in terms of the sporting level. I mean, we've got duos now. The big three area is a little bit of the past. We got duos, and Sixers got a pretty good duo. We obviously got the Lakers duo, Clippers duo. I'd say the Celtics are kind of the only ones with still like a big three of some sorts. I mean, I can't really think of any other teams off the top of my head. Maybe the Nuggets, honestly, they're kind of a duo themselves. You count MPJ as a third. I mean, you can if you want. But we got a league of duos. We got a league of a lot of good teams which can make a push. there's a lot of open chances for people or for teams to really break out. We got some nice matchups: OKC versus Houston. We got Denver, Utah. That one could be a close one. We got some teams who've been underperforming in the past who actually have a shot now. I think that's what's important for a lot of these teams. And the environment. I feel like for the Sixers, the environment's gonna be the most affecting because we played so great at home. I mean, we went insane at home, and I feel like the way I see it is that Joel plays for the fans. Like, you see him on the court when he's playing for the fans. Like, he's doing his celebration. He's like pointing to the fans and stuff. I really hope it doesn't take a toll on him that he's not playing with fans right now. But I mean, hopefully he can still pull through. I mean, he has to remember he got sent home crying last year. He's got to put that on his head.
Plug my podcast here, but if you go back to episode 1, I said that exact same thing that you just said. My question was, will the not having fans help or hurt the 76ers? And I said hurt, because they have guys that feed off that. Like, there's a reason that in the Wells Fargo they were so dominant, and they don't have that presence anymore. So
yeah, we're such a Philly's such a sports city. Like, it's like the Eagles too. Like, all our teams feed off the fans. How crazy the fans are. Like,
yeah, I love it, man. Like, that's one of the reasons I love Philly sports, is because the fans care. And when you're doing bad, you're gonna hear it, and when you're doing well, you're gonna hear it. Like, that's how it is.
Hey, man. On that note, I mean, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, please leave a like, subscribe, turn that notification bell on. Go check out Ben's podcast, The Process, link in the description below. Or you can go check it out on his Instagram page. Go follow him, his Instagram, probably in the description below as well. And yeah, see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anytime.